Israel says it is wrapping up its operations in Gaza after all its objectives have been realized. Speaking after a cabinet meeting to vote on the ceasefire deal proposed by Egypt, Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert hailed the operation against Hamas, which he says will take years to recover. RT's correspondent in Tel Aviv, Paula Slier, joins us now for more on that. Hello to you, Paula. Thank you for joining us. How likely is it that a ceasefire will hold from tonight?
Well, Yulia, in an hour from now, at 2 o'clock Sunday morning local time, Israel says it will halt its fire and stop its operation in Gaza. Now, this unilateral declaration of a ceasefire has been greeted with mixed reaction. The one point that's being raised is just how long Israel plans to keep its forces inside Gaza, because Israeli Premier Ehud Olmert said that the army would remain for as long as it took for Hamas to stop firing rockets into Israel. So there's no indication of a time frame, and immediately following his announcement, at least 6 rockets fell in southern Israel. We have no indication whether these rockets were fired by Hamas, whether they were in direct defiance of the Prime Minister's unilateral declaration of a ceasefire, or whether in fact they were the last ammunition to be used before both sides halt their fire. The other question being raised is just what will happen to the border crossings between Israel and Gaza. There was no mention of this in the Premier's speech tonight in Tel Aviv. Questions being asked whether these crossings will be opened to allow for very much needed humanitarian aid to reach Gaza from Israel. The Israeli Premier Ehud Olmert said that he believed this operation was a success. He said that he believed that Hamas had been hit and hit hard. He said that Israel had shown its might. He also made the point that Israel had exceeded all its goals. He said that the ceasefire was unilateral because Hamas remained what Israel regards as a terrorist organization, and as such Israel had made this announcement in line with the dialogues and conversations it has been holding with the international community.
Paula, what's Hamas' reaction to the unilateral ceasefire?
Well, Hamas has said that it will not recognize this unilateral declaration of a ceasefire for as long as there are Israeli troops in Gaza soil. And this does raise the question just how long Israel plans to keep these troops there. Hamas has also said that this is a trap, that there have been calls from the international community, from the United Nations, for Israel to leave Gaza. And by keeping troops in Gaza, this is contrary to this. Osama Hamdan, who is the Lebanese representative of the group, had this to say.
It's not a declaration of ceasefire, it's a declaration of an Israeli failure in the military operation. Their only success was the killing of the civilians. Hundreds of children were killed, hundreds of women were killed, and they couldn't achieve any important target as they said.
This unilateral declaration of a ceasefire was expected, and already earlier on Saturday there was reaction coming from Hamas leaders. They were saying that if Israel goes ahead, as it has done, and makes such an announcement, it undermines the current negotiations underway in Cairo, where both sides have been talking about what kind of objectives they want. Hamas leaders saying that they're still going to insist that their conditions for a ceasefire are met.
Paula, now some protests took place outside the cabinet meeting in Tel Aviv. Can you elaborate on those?
On Saturday evening, there were several hundred protesters who gathered outside the Prime Minister's office in Tel Aviv. They too were aware that the declaration of a unilateral ceasefire was imminent, and they were calling on the Israeli government to make sure that the fate of the captured Israeli soldier, Corporal Gilad Shalit, he was taken hostage in July 2005, that his release be part and parcel of any kind of ceasefire agreement. We heard from the Gilad Shalit's family saying that this was the last chance they believed that their son could be freed. They were appealed to the Israeli government to include him and make reference to him. This did not happen. All we heard from the Israeli Premier Ehud Olmert is that Israeli hearts and souls were with the fate of the captured soldier, but no news on whether or not he will be released, or in fact how his health and his condition are. At the same time, the understanding on the ground is that the reason why Israel made this unilateral declaration is that they were facing a lot of pressure, presumably from the American administration. The US President-elect Barack Obama enters office on Wednesday, with many people literally not wanting Hamas rockets raining down on his parade. And at the same time, the Israeli Foreign Minister, Tzipi Livni, returned on Saturday evening from the United States. She has signed a deal with Washington that will ensure American participation in not allowing any kind of weapons smuggling to happen across the Gaza-Egyptian border. So that is the feeling in Tel Aviv tonight as to why the Israeli Premier Ehud Olmert went ahead and made this announcement of a unilateral declaration of a ceasefire.
Our correspondent in Tel Aviv, Paul Aslia, thank you very much.